Hello, random YouTube followers and fellow classmates of the Glendale Community College class GBS205. For those of you who don't know what GBS205 is, it is a class about the legal, ethical, and regulatory issues in business. Now, today I'm here to talk to you about due process, something that we've all heard of, but we've never actually gone into detail about because most people just don't find it all that interesting. Now, what due process is this combination of the Fifth and Fourth Amendment, which provides us that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or process without due process of the law. There are two aspects that go along with this. First is procedural, and the second is substantive. We'll talk about both, and then I'll go over the actual laws that govern these procedurals. Procedural is pretty much any government decision that can take life, liberty, or property must be made fairly. This means that it must give the person notice and opportunity to be heard of in order to determine if a person will be subject to the punishment of those or some burdens. Fair procedure interpretations have the person at least have the option to object before a neutral decision maker. This is where the judge would come in because they are considered neutral decision makers despite being paid by the state. For the substantive portion, this means that we must protect the individual's life, liberty, or property against certain government actions, regardless of the fairness of the procedures used to implement them. What this means is it does limit what the government may do in its legislative and executive capacities, and the legislation must be fair and reasonable in content. If a law or government action limits a fundamental right, it will be held to violate substantive due process unless it promotes a compelling or overriding state interest. One of these would be an international criminal who has U.S. citizenships or other things of that right. The fundamental right for interstate travel, privacy, voting, marriage, and family, in addition to First Amendment rights, also go along with substantive procedurals. Now, one example is Roe v. Wade, 410 U.S. 113, 93 S.C.T. 705. What this is Roe was a single pregnant woman who challenged Texas state statutes that made it a crime to perform an abortion unless a woman's life was at stake. Jane Roe wanted a safe and legal end to her pregnancy. The court recognized that the constitutional right to privacy or law was broad enough to encompass a woman's decision whether or not to terminate her pregnancy. Now, some of the rights that go into this, one of the things that you heard about many times, especially if you've ever been arrested, is called your Miranda rights. The Miranda rights is pretty much what the police force and anyone who arrests someone uses in order to protect themselves for due process. The Miranda rights read, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one will be provided to you. Do you understand the rights I have read to you? With these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me? By saying this, they clearly state that you are now pretty much being recorded by multiple witnesses, and everything stated can be used against you if you say anything incriminating. Anything said before the Miranda rights can technically be thrown out of court as being against due process. Now, the Fifth and 14th Amendment, for those of you who don't know what those are, the Fifth Amendment reads, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime, unless on the presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces, or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be written a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property, without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Now, the definition of compensation, as we've recently seen when people have had lost their property to the government, can be anything to a new house of equal or greater value, or simply a monetary equality when it comes to compensation. Now, the 14th Amendment, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and one of the states wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privilege or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. What this means is that no state has the right to go above what the government itself cannot go above. You do not have to lose your rights to the state, even though the government tries. The state is also meant to protect you in case the government tries. All right, once again, my name is Christopher Provant. Thank you for listening, and this has been a project on behalf of myself, Christopher Provant, Miss Turner, and Gabriel, and I hope you all have a pleasant day.